The nanny's daughter and I are bound by a score-swapping system. I wrote with great speed and skill in the exam hall, only to find my total score was 250. In my previous life, the nanny's daughter swapped my exam scores. She went to Tsinghua and Peking University with great fanfare, but I ended up with a big fat 0, abandoned by my father and cyberbullied by the entire internet. The nanny's daughter mocked me relentlessly. Hey, isn't this the top student, so your grades were all copied? Huh, it's fine if you can't get into college, just find a man to marry. My dad married me off to a business partner with supermasculinity, and I was abused to death. After being reborn, I'm completely letting go and living recklessly. If you want to get into Tsinghua or Peking University, go roast sweet potatoes instead. 1. Sister, can you lend me a pen? Shen Jiaojiao stood in front of me, speaking with a pitiful tone. At that moment, I suddenly could hear Shen Jiaojiao's inner thoughts. As long as that fool Lin Yun lends me her pen, I can bind with her and swap her college entrance exam scores. I smiled faintly and handed my gel pen to Shen Jiaojiao. It's yours. Shen Jiaojiao looked innocent, but in her heart, she was already cursing my ancestors for 18 generations. That fool Lin Yun so easily got her hands on her things. Fool, you're dead for life. Watching Shen Jiaojiao leave my room, her retreating figure, I couldn't help but curl into a cold sneer. In my past life, it was also today. The nanny's daughter, Shen Jiaojiao, walked into my room with a pitiful look, saying she wanted to borrow a pen from me. Little did I know, she had long been bound to an exchange system in her mind. As long as she obtained my belongings, she could exchange them for my college entrance exam scores. Originally, I had been the undisputed top student since childhood, from elementary school to middle school, and then to high school. I have always been ranked first in my grade when doing past college entrance exam papers. I never scored below 700 points, whether it was the teachers at school or my parents. The only goal they set for me was to aim for Tsinghua or Peking University, and Shen Jiaojiao is the daughter of our family's nanny. She has always had average grades, with a total score hovering around 300 points. It's not that she is inherently dull, but rather that Shen Jiaojiao is quite attractive. She often mingles with troublemakers from outside the school and gets into relationships, which has affected her academic performance. School teachers have repeatedly talked to her about it. They even spoke harshly and directly to her. Your mother is a nanny. You were originally a very smart girl. If you willingly let yourself go, how can you change your own fate? What, are you going to follow in your mother's footsteps and become a nanny in someone else's home in the future? But Shen Jiaojiao completely ignored the teacher's words. She even made a bold declaration, saying she was naturally smart, just didn't like to study. If she put in even a day of effort, she'd definitely become the top scorer in the college entrance exam. At first, I thought she was just spouting nonsense after being mocked by the teacher, who would have thought she had a system bound to her all along, and she had long set her sights on me as the target for the exchange. In her previous life, Shen Jiaojiao effortlessly scored 731 points by relying on the score-swapping system, becoming the top scorer in the entire province. Not only did she secure a place at Tsinghua or Peking University, but she even took my father away from me. That's right, Shen Jiaojiao's mother, who is our family's nanny Wang Cuihua, turned out to be my father's former lover. Shen Jiaojiao is even my father's illegitimate daughter, born to Wang Cuihua outside the family. Because Shen Jiaojiao became the top scorer in the province, my father acknowledged Wang Cuihua and her daughter, allowing them to return to the family. In contrast, Shen Jiaojiao slept through the entire exam and handed in completely blank answer sheets. In the end, my college entrance exam score was a big fat 0, not even enough to get into Lanxiang Technical School. My father was utterly disappointed in me, and Shen Jiaojiao even posted online, claiming that my years of being a top student were all just a persona. Every single exam over the past decade, she said, was achieved by selling my looks and stealing the answers. Overnight, I became the laughingstock of everyone and was cyberbullied across the entire internet. My photos were even photoshopped to be naked and posted all over the internet. My father, feeling that I had brought shame upon him, and under Shen Jiaojiao's instigation, actually gave me away to his business partner. The man was in his 50s, had been married 6 times, and was a perverted supermasculine type. I was chained up in the basement by that pervert, subjected to daily humiliation and torture, and in the end, I was brutally abused to death, and my own mother was even forced into a mental institution by Shen Jiaojiao and her mother, subjected to daily electric shocks and medication. My mother lost her husband and then her daughter. She developed severe depression. In the end, my mother stood on the rooftop of the mental institution and jumped, recalling everything from my past life. My eyes seemed to burn with fury. I clenched my lower lip tightly, my heart filled with resentment at this moment. Shen Jiaojiao had already left my room. She stood at the door of my room, conversing with the system in her mind. The system presented its conditions. You have already bound with Lin Yun and exchanged scores. If you fail, what price are you willing to pay? Pies don't fall from the sky. The system naturally has its own requirements, Shen Jiaojiao said with conviction. I am willing to exchange my youth and beauty for it. Standing in the room, I narrowed my eyes slightly. Shen Jiaojiao, everything you owed me in my past life, in this lifetime, I will make sure you repay it double. 2. The next day at school, Shen Jiaojiao was directly called into the teacher's office. She was too flamboyant at school, relying on her youthful beauty. She dated boys everywhere. Not only did she accept expensive gifts from male classmates, but she also took cash. She even dated delinquents from outside the school. She was caught on camera flirting with a yellow-haired troublemaker right at the school gate. In no time at all, Shen Jiaojiao's roar echoed from the office. I've always been smart. I just don't like studying. If I put in just a few days of effort, I'm sure to be this year's top scorer in the college entrance exam. Shen Jiaojiao deliberately provoked the teacher and made such a bold statement. The homeroom teacher shook her head repeatedly in anger, saying straight out that Shen Jiaojiao was beyond saving. Many classmates gathered at the office door, watching the commotion inside. As for me, I couldn't be bothered to meddle in so much idle business. I grabbed a cushion, lay on my desk, and slept soundly. In no time at all, Shen Jiaojiao emerged from the office, full of energy and vitality. She had countless admirers around her. Some boys brought her milk, while others brought her cakes. However, there were a few female classmates who couldn't stand Shen Jiaojiao's behavior, rolling their eyes and sneering sarcastically. Oh, isn't this the great child prodigy? How clever they are. Scoring 200 points on every exam, they're definitely getting into a 985 university. Exactly, our Miss Shen just doesn't want to study. They can casually study for a few days and get into Tsinghua or Peking University. Shen Jiaojiao raised her chin proudly and strutted into the classroom. As a result, she spotted me at first glance, drooling all over the desk while sleeping. Shen Jiaojiao rushed toward me like a madwoman. Lin Yun, what are you doing? She shook me awake desperately. The college entrance exam is just around the corner, and we're in the final sprint. How can you be sleeping right now? I opened my drowsy eyes and yawned a few times. What does it matter to you if I sleep in class? After all, I always rank first in the entire school. No matter how much I sleep, my grades won't suffer. Shen Jiaojiao's face was full of concern. How can this be? You must stand firm at your last post. Lin Yun, what if your performance declines now that you're slacking off? I gave Shen Jiaojiao a big eye roll, raised an eyebrow, and sneered. Are you crazy? What does my performance have to do with you? You should mind your own business. At this moment, the other students in the class mocked even more vigorously. Oh my, goddess, Shen is really a street cop. She sure has a wide jurisdiction. Exactly, with her own score barely over 200, she dares to meddle with the top student. Who does she think she is? Just the daughter of the top student's family's nanny, isn't she? Oh my, our goddess Shen is a genius. She's going to be this year's top scorer in the college entrance exam. So what if she reaches out a bit? If she were to kick her legs, she might even kick her way into your bed. The classmates covered their mouths, chattering away, one after another. Shen Jiaojiao hated it the most when people said she was the daughter of a nanny, but with so many classmates, she couldn't refute them one by one. Shen Jiaojiao shot me a venomous glare before heading toward the back row. That very night, the moment I stepped through the front door, I saw Shen Jiaojiao tearfully complaining to my dad. I really did it all for Lin Yun's own good. At such a critical moment, she actually fell asleep in class. I just don't want my sister to go astray. At this moment, the nanny Wang Suihua was also standing in front of my father. With one arm around Shen Jiaojiao's shoulder, she placed her other hand on my father's thigh. Old Lin Jiaojiao is just naturally kind-hearted. When Lin Yun comes back later, don't scold her either, just gently reprimand her a few times. Although Xiao Yun has always had good grades since she was little, she's just too cold-hearted. She's not close to you at all, her own father. If you say anything too harsh, I'm afraid that child will hold a grudge against you in her heart. This mother and daughter really know how to stir up trouble. Seeing me come in, my dad immediately shook his leg and pushed Wang Suihua's hand away. Wang Suihua turned her head and gave me an awkward smile. Yun Yun is back. The master has something to discuss with you. I'm going to start cooking now. As she spoke, Wang Suihua pulled Shen Jiaojiao into the kitchen. At that moment, my dad was still putting on a stern face, pretending to be the big shot. I tossed my backpack onto the sofa and spoke directly. it's about me sleeping in class, right? Fang Jia and Gu Man didn't do well on their exams. I helped them study last night. We stayed up a bit too late, so I dozed off for a while during self-study in class today. Fang Jia and Gu Man are both my best friends. Most importantly, their parents are big bosses. They are business partners with my dad. In recent years, my dad has made a small fortune by running a food factory. However, he isn't particularly well known in City A and still relies on influential connections for support. As soon as he heard that I was tutoring the daughters of those big bosses, my dad immediately beamed with joy. I always knew my little Yun was amazing. It's just sleeping. What's the big deal? Xiao Yun, Dad believes in you. Do whatever you want to do. You're the most promising one in our family. This year's college entrance exam. Don't let Dad down. I raised my eyebrows slightly. Since I was little, I've never been afraid of exams. Don't worry. Getting into Tsinghua or Peking University won't be a problem. I deliberately emphasized the words, Tsinghua or Peking University. Shen Jiaojiao stood in the kitchen, and upon hearing my words, she immediately gave Wang Tsuehua a cryptic look. In the blink of an eye, it was mealtime. Since my mom has been on a business trip out of town, there are only 4 of us at the dinner table, me, my dad, Wang Tsuehua, and Shen Jiaojiao. The table is fully loaded, all with seafood, braised prawns, steamed sea bass, but the thing is, I really don't like seafood. In fact, even the smell of fish and shrimp makes me want to vomit. The one who loves seafood is Shen Jiaojiao. In her previous life, Wang Tsuehua cooked every meal according to Shen Jiaojiao's preferences, and I was too soft-hearted, thinking that Shen Jiaojiao was the daughter of a nanny and came from a single-parent family, which made her truly pitiful, so I thought it was just a few meals, and it didn't matter what we ate. Therefore, I never argued or complained about it. At this moment, I am sitting at the dining table, looking at the table full of fish, shrimp, and crab. I directly pick up a plate of braised yellow fish in sauce and pour it, along with the broth, straight into the trash. Aunt Wang, what do you mean by this? You know perfectly well that I don't like seafood, yet you turn the dining table into a seafood market every day. Are you deliberately picking a fight with me? I speak up first. At this moment, Wang Tsuehua stood beside me with a face full of grievance, frequently batting her eyes at my father. She pretended to be wronged and said, Xiao Yun, I'm doing all this for your own good. Eating fish nourishes the brain, and aren't you about to take the college entrance exam? I just wanted to give you a little extra brain boost. Is this to nourish my brain, or to satisfy your daughter's cravings? I let out a cold snort and pointed directly at Shen Jiaojiao. Aunt Wang, if I remember correctly, I am the master of this house, you are the nanny, and Shen Jiaojiao is your daughter. Right now, you only cook what Shen Jiaojiao likes to eat. When it comes to tidying up, you only clean Shen Jiaojiao's room the most thoroughly. If it were an outsider, they'd think this family's surname was Shen, not Lin. Seeing me in a towering rage, Wang Tsuehua kept winking at my dad. Old Lin, look at Xiao Yun's temper, always misunderstanding me. At this moment, I let out a cold snort. Can't even get a decent meal I want. What's the point of taking the exam? I might as well just drop out of school tomorrow. I probably won't even make it to the exam day. I'll starve to death at home before then. My father has always been someone who values face above all else. Having a top student for a daughter has earned him a lot of respect in the business world over the years. If I could get into Tsinghua or Peking University, my father would gain even more fame. It might even take our family business to the next level. My father is selfish. He values whoever benefits him the most. As soon as I mentioned wanting to drop out of school, my dad was so angry that he slapped the table with his hand. Aunt Wang, you've really gone too far. You need to understand that Xiao Yun is the young lady of this household. Whatever she says goes. Quick, throw all these dishes away. Immediately make something light and simple, something Xiao Yun likes to eat. From now on, seafood must never appear on our family's dining table. Upon hearing my father's command, Wang Tsuehua could only glare at me with a venomous look in her eyes. Then, she had to obediently go back to cooking again. At this moment, I once again heard the voice of Shen Jiaojiao's system in her mind. System, Lin Yun actually dares to target me. I want to make her suffer a miserable death. Quick, tell me, if I successfully swap Lin Yun's grades, what punishment will she receive? The system's voice rang out. Host, as long as you can exchange your grades in the college entrance exam and successfully get into Tsinghua or Peking University as you wish, then, Lin Yun will lose 60 years of his lifespan and will die soon. So, the person whose grades are taken away will also face punishment. In my previous life, I was only 23 years old when I was Tortured to death by that sick pervert, it seems I should at least be able to live into my 80s. It's only because I lost 60 years of my lifespan that I died young from abuse. Thinking of this, I met Shen Jiaojiao's gaze. I deliberately gave her a provocative look, but since the college entrance exam hasn't happened yet, Shen Jiaojiao doesn't dare to turn against me openly. Seeing Shen Jiaojiao's expression of hating me to the core but unable to do anything about it, I couldn't help but feel like laughing inside. In the blink of an eye, the day of the college entrance exam arrived. In the examination hall, as soon as the test papers were handed out, I started writing furiously. What is the square root of 576, equivalent to a bastard? The chemical reaction of steel wire heating in the air. React your grandmother's leg. As for the college entrance exam essay, thoughts and reflections on the Chang'e 4 lunar exploration, I picked up the pen and wrote a few bold characters on the Chinese exam paper. My mistress mother, the college entrance exam essay is of utmost importance, so it must be written well, deeply moving, with a smile that hides a knife. After finishing all the exams, I had already estimated my score in my mind, 250, the most fitting score for Shen Jiaojiao. Out of the exam hall, Shen Jiaojiao warmly pressed close to my side. Sister Lin Yun, how did you do on the exam? Before the college entrance exam, I specifically asked the homeroom teacher. You gave up the school's recommendation qualification. If you don't do well, you might not even get into college. I raised my eyebrows slightly. How did I do on the exam? This year's test was so easy, even a pig could score 250. I've already estimated my score, at least 720, so Tsinghua and Peking University are definitely within reach. Upon hearing my words, Shen Jiaojiao could no longer conceal the joy in her heart. She made a bold statement. Is that so? What a coincidence. I also think this year's exam was easy. I've already estimated my score, and I think I can get 730. Sister, it looks like I'm likely to be this year's top scorer in the college entrance exam. Shen Jiaojiao told lies without even blushing. The corners of her mouth were still smeared with drool, a patch of white. She was clearly sleeping soundly in the exam hall, yet she had the audacity to boast that she was the top scorer in the college entrance exam. I casually replied, who will emerge victorious will be clear once the scores are out. After the exam, since my mom was still on a business trip out of town, I used the excuse of traveling to say I was going to another city. My father naturally wouldn't interfere with me. He was quite pleased to see me leave this home. After all, he could openly come and go with Wang Cuihua and enjoy a loving father-daughter relationship with his illegitimate child. After arriving in another city, I finally got to see my mother. My mother's name is Dong Yuan, and she is a strong, capable woman. She is extremely driven in her career, yet when it comes to relationships, she is completely inexperienced. Over 20 years ago, my mother, who had always been busy with work and had never been in a relationship, was set up on a blind date by her family. That's how she met my father, who came from a rural background but had graduated from university. My father isn't bad looking, and although his family conditions weren't great, he at least had a bachelor's degree. My mother wasn't materialistic, and with her lack of dating experience, she was easily deceived by my father's sweet talk. Believing she had found true love, they got married in a grand and passionate ceremony. After the wedding, the couple started a business together. On the surface, my father was the chairman, but behind the scenes, most of the business was brought in by my mother. But what my mother didn't know was, my dad is simply a scumbag. Although he is indeed a college student, he is greedy for profit and forgets about righteousness, and his lust knows no bounds. Originally, my dad had a girlfriend in the countryside. That woman was Wang Cuihua. When Wang Cuihua was young, she was quite good-looking, considered the belle of the village. My father was the only college student in the village, and the two of them standing together made a perfect match, a talented man and a beautiful woman. But later, my grandmother looked down on Wang Cuihua's poor family background, thinking she wasn't good enough for her son. Wang Cuihua's family, on the other hand, demanded a large sum of money as a dowry. My father couldn't afford that much. Because of these reasons, the two chose to break up. After my father and Wang Cuihua separated, Wang Cuihua turned around and married a local troublemaker in the village named Shen Chong. Meanwhile, my father was also going on blind dates all over the city. In the end, he took a liking to my mother for being naive and easy to deceive. Without paying a single cent in bride price, he tricked her into coming home with him. Who would have thought that after my father and Wang Cuihua got married separately, the two of them still secretly carried on their affair? My father started cheating on the very day of his wedding. Every month, he used the excuse of returning to the countryside to visit my grandmother. Each time he left, he would be gone for 3 days. Actually, he specifically went back to have secret meetings with Wang Cuihua. Later, The year my mother gave birth to me, Wang Cuihua also became pregnant and had a daughter. Shen Jiaojiao turned out to be only 3 months younger than me. Wang Cuihua claimed that Shen Jiaojiao was my father's child, saying that the husband she married was infertile, incapable in that aspect, and simply couldn't perform. Then, when I was 13 years old, Wang Cuihua's husband, Shen Chong, was arrested for causing injury due to drunken fighting and was sentenced to a full 10 years. Seeing her husband end up in jail, Wang Cuihua immediately chose to divorce. Then she ran to my father, crying and pleading, demanding that he take responsibility for her and her daughter. That was when it all began. My dad brought Wang Cuihua back home, saying she was the new nanny he had hired. As for Shen Jiaojiao, she moved into our villa along with Wang Cuihua. It was said she was to be my playmate. Wang Cuihua and her daughter were as venomous as snakes and scorpions. They did their underground work quite well. I lived under the same roof with them for a full 5 years. If it weren't for the tragedy of my past life, I would never have known that Wang Cuihua had actually been having an affair with my dad all along. Arrived in the city where my mom is on a business trip. It had been a long time since I last saw my mom. She had lost a lot of weight from running around for business. When she saw me, my mom cried with heartache. Xiao Yun, Mom is sorry. I really couldn't get away. I couldn't even go back to be with you for your college entrance exams. I instantly threw myself into my mother's arms. Mom, it's not your fault, it's all my fault. In this lifetime, I will never let you jump off a building again. My mother was startled by my words. Xiao Yun, what are you talking about? There's nothing I need to hide from my mom. The two of us returned to the hotel room, and I told my mom everything about my experiences in my previous life and the fact that I had been reborn. After hearing it all, my mom was so furious that her teeth were practically itching. She knew that I was the only person in her life who would never deceive her. Xiao Yun, are you saying that Wang Cuihua is your father's mistress? Shen Jiaojiao is actually your father's illegitimate daughter? I nodded heavily. Immediately after, I took out a few small bags. Each pocket contained a few strands of hair. Mom, these are the hairs I collected from Wang Cuihua, Shen Jiaojiao, and my dad. We can go get a DNA test done. Also, I think we shouldn't make this public just yet. After all, even if we get divorced, what's rightfully ours, mother and daughter, absolutely cannot be given away cheaply to those two vixens. My mom is a bit naive when it comes to matters of the heart. Back in the day, she was a top student from a 985 university. In her career, she was decisive and exceptionally intelligent. My mom nodded heavily. After hearing about my past life experiences, my mother and I reminisced for an entire night. Throughout the night, my mother alternated between crying and laughing. Her eyes were red and swollen, and she held me tightly in her arms, unwilling to let go for even a moment. From the end of the exams until the results were released, I stayed by my mother's side the entire time. The two of us were traveling out of town, enjoying delicious food and visiting scenic spots. We rode roller coasters. In the blink of an eye, the day to check our grades was almost here. My mom's business on her side had also wrapped up, and the two of us, mother and daughter, returned home together. After returning home, I had no idea how Wang Cuihua and Shen Jiaojiao had managed to win over my dad during this time. My mom and I had just stepped through the door when my dad announced loudly, "Did you know, Jiaojiao did really well on her exams this time. She said she's definitely going to get into Tsinghua or Peking University, and she might even be the top scorer in our city for the province." I've decided, on the day the results come out, I'm going to host a few tables. We'll invite guests for a meal and check the results publicly, and that day, I also have something big to announce. I understand exactly what my father means by a big event. He definitely wants to give Wang Cuihua a proper status and have Shen Jiaojiao recognized as part of the family on the same day, having a daughter who got into Tsinghua or Peking University, and then acknowledging her identity. My father really wants to bask in the glory, but he hasn't considered my and my mother's feelings at all. In Lin Changshan's eyes, who his wife is, who his children are, none of that matters. Only face, only fame and fortune, are what he values most in this life. In the blink of an eye, the day of the results announcement arrived. My dad booked a large private room at the biggest hotel in our area. Inside, 4 large tables were set up. He invited many relatives, friends, and business partners. For a moment, glasses clinked and toasts were exchanged. My father raised his glass high and announced mysteriously to everyone, "In a moment, it will be time for the 2 children to check their exam results." As everyone knows, for many years, 2 girls have been living in our home. Xiao Yun has always been a top student since she was little. She is my own daughter, and Jiaojiao, the daughter of our housekeeper Wang Cuihua, is also taking the college entrance exam this year. In a moment, when the children's results come out, there will be a particularly big piece of good news to announce to everyone. I hope you all look forward to it." My dad's old face flushed red from drinking. Meanwhile, Shen Jiaojiao was also holding a wine glass. She deliberately leaned in close to me, winking mysteriously. "Lin Yun, do you know what good news your dad is about to announce later?" I pretended to be taken aback. "How would I know?" Shen Jiaojiao said mysteriously. "Don't worry, it's a big surprise, Lin Yun. This surprise will definitely blow your mind." At this moment, I thought to myself, that's right, it's a big surprise. That score would absolutely shock everyone. Immediately after, my dad demanded that Shen Jiaojiao and I check our scores publicly. I was the first to check my score. After I entered my exam number and student ID, the computer connected to the large screen in the private room, everyone present could see my college entrance exam score. I simply clicked on the confirm button, then, a huge 0 appeared before everyone's eyes. Seeing this 0, I wasn't the least bit surprised. After all, in my previous life, Shen Jiaojiao had handed in blank papers for every subject. At this moment, Shen Jiaojiao was still feigning astonishment. Covering her mouth with her hand, she deliberately said, "Xiao Yun, how could you have no grades? Were you caught cheating, or is it that your previous top student persona was all fake? Have all your exam results over the years been copied?" Shen Jiaojiao is determined to nail me to the pillar of historical shame. Of course, I can't let her down. I feigned shock, covering my mouth with my hand. "How could this be? It's impossible." I answered every single question. "There must be a mistake with the exam paper. I demand to check the exam paper. I demand to check the exam paper." In just an instant, my father's face darkened. He grabbed my shoulders and shoved me to the ground. A daughter who had brought him such shame was nothing but a discarded pawn. "Useless thing, get out of here," my dad yelled at me angrily, then immediately turned his head and looked at Shen Jiaojiao with great tenderness. "Jiaojiao, hurry, check your score. How many points did you get?" At this moment, Shen Jiaojiao was beaming with pride. She haughtily placed all 10 fingers on the keyboard and swiftly entered her student ID. In no time, another eye-catching number appeared on the big screen. 250. Shen Jiaojiao scored 250 points, no more, no less. This score truly suits her. By this point, Shen Jiaojiao was completely numb. She also panicked and muttered to herself, "How is this possible? How could it only be 250 points? It can't be this. I couldn't have scored so low." At this moment, I was still sitting on the ground, crying. I kept muttering to myself, "It must be a mistake in grading the papers. There must be something wrong." I performed really well. Shen Jiaojiao heard my words, and she also had a sudden inspiration. "That's right, there must be something wrong with the papers. It must be that the teacher grading the papers this year made a mistake and messed up all our scores." If I were the only one saying this, my dad would think I'm crazy, but since Shen Jiaojiao is saying the same thing, there's no way my dad could believe that both of his daughters have gone crazy. Hearing Shen Jiaojiao's words, my dad also firmly believed that it must have been the teacher grading the papers who made the mistake. Shen Jiaojiao forced my dad to call the education bureau to check her own score. She wanted to see her own exam paper. Upon hearing this, my dad ignored the guests who were whispering among themselves. He immediately took out his phone and started looking for contacts everywhere. He wanted to find reporters and even reach out to television stations, determined to get to the bottom of Shen Jiaojiao's and my scores. A grand banquet meant to recognize a daughter didn't earn my dad any respect. Instead, it even made him a laughingstock in high society. At that moment, I once again heard Shen Jiaojiao conversing with the system. The system told Shen Jiaojiao, "Now that the college entrance exam results are out, your scores won't get you into Tsinghua or Peking University. The score exchange mission has failed. The system will deduct 20 years of your lifespan, along with your youth and beauty." It turns out that Shen Jiaojiao's punishment is so light. In my past life, she stole my scores and altered my fate. She even shortened my lifespan by 60 years, but when it comes to her, her lifespan is only reduced by 20 years. Shen Jiaojiao is still arguing with the system. It must be a problem with the grading teacher. They must have mixed up our exam papers. Don't worry, as long as we communicate with the Education Bureau and request to review my exam paper, we can definitely retrieve my real score, and I can still get into Tsinghua or Peking University. Yeah, how could the system determine Shen Jiaojiao's failure so quickly? After all, the big gift I prepared for Shen Jiaojiao hasn't been fully delivered yet. A few more days passed, because my dad called the Education Bureau and even chose to report it to the police, and Shen Jiaojiao also started a live stream online. angrily denouncing that her score had been tampered with. Therefore, an announcement was quickly issued from the authorities. They said they would publicly release Shen Jiaojiao's exam paper online to prove the invigilator's innocence. As for me, I personally will also make a call to the Education Bureau. I'll say that I intentionally handed in a blank paper and that I slept during the exam. My grades are not an issue. A live broadcast across the internet and publicly sharing exam papers, such a glorious thing that brings honor to the ancestors. I'm not one to seek the limelight, so I'd rather not participate. 3 days later, Shen Jiaojiao, while holding her phone high and live streaming, took Wang Cuihua and my dad to the Education Bureau to check her exam papers. At the same time, all of Shen Jiaojiao's exam papers were also made public online. Each of Shen Jiaojiao's exam papers had carefully written answers. It's just that those answers were a bit disappointing. For the math essay question, besides writing the word solution, I also drew a big turtle. On the chemistry exam, all the chemical equations were actually written in English. When put together, it reads, I am bitch. For the English multiple choice questions, I chose F for all of them. On the physics exam, I drew crayon Shin-chan. The most astonishing thing, of course, was the Chinese language exam paper. Shen Jiaojiao's Chinese essay was titled, My Mother, the Mistress. This essay was truly written with deep emotion. It depicted the various details between Wang Cuihua and my father, how my father looked down on his rural girlfriend for being poor and favored the rich, how the Wang Cuihua family was so snobbish, insisting on exchanging their daughter for a bride price of 200,000 yuan, and how Wang Cuihua and my father secretly carried on an affair after their marriage. The detailed descriptions were so deeply moving, yet so utterly disgraceful, including Wang Cuihua bringing Shen Jiaojiao into my family's villa to work as a nanny for us, as well as Wang Cuihua sneaking into my mother's pajamas in the middle of the night, wanting to play something exciting with my dad, and insisting on seeing it through to the end. As soon as this college entrance exam essay was published online, it instantly caused an uproar. Wang Cuihua's name quickly became famous among the entire population, and the great love between my dad and Wang Cuihua, it was even adapted by some online writers into a short script and filmed as a 100-episode dramatic miniseries, which was streamed for free across the internet. Shen Jiaojiao was desperately trying to check her scores. Little did she know, she would uncover a shocking scandal about herself. At the same time, during this period, my mom had also gathered a lot of evidence of the affair between my dad and Wang Cuihua. Most importantly, Shen Jiaojiao is indeed my father's biological daughter. Their paternity test showed a genetic match rate as high as 99–98%. Wang Cuihua did a decent job in this regard. At least she didn't make my father wear a green hat and raise someone else's bastard child. My mother submitted this evidence to the relevant authorities, along with Shen Jiaojiao's college entrance exam essay. It was the best solid proof. Meanwhile, my mother and father were fiercely fighting their divorce lawsuit on the other end, because Shen Jiaojiao failed to complete the system task. She seemed to have contracted some strange and serious illness, aging over 20 years overnight. Her originally tender, collagen-rich little face became aged and withered in just one night. Shen Jiaojiao's face was covered in wrinkles, and her hair turned gray. At this moment, she lost her beauty. Without her youth, Shen Jiaojiao instantly transformed into a middle-aged woman in her 40s. Plus, there's her viral college entrance exam essay. Overnight, Shen Jiaojiao became the biggest joke on the entire internet. On the day my dad and mom's divorce case went to court, Shen Jiaojiao actually had the nerve to tag along with my dad, shamelessly showing up as well. With so much evidence in my mother's hands, my father had no choice but to divorce. The only reason he participated in this lawsuit was to fight for a larger share of the marital property. At the entrance of the public security, procuratorate, and court offices, Shen Jiaojiao was still proudly showing off to me. Lin Yun, don't think you've won against me. As long as today passes, my dad and your mom will get divorced. My dad said he will marry my mom right away. From now on, the position of the eldest daughter of the Lin family will be mine. I shrugged my shoulders and smiled calmly. My dad and Wang Cuihua are a perfect match, made in heaven. I wish this scumbag and this bitch would be stuck together for life. At this moment, Shen Jiaojiao was still screaming like a madwoman. Lin Yun, what are you so arrogant about? I may have only scored 250 points on the exam this year, but at least with this score, I can get into a junior college or a technical school, and you got a big fat zero. Even if you went to roast sweet potatoes at the school gate, no one would want you, would they? Seeing Shen Jiaojiao's furious expression, I raised an eyebrow slightly. Shen Jiaojiao, how does it feel to score 250 points? Did you take a good look at the essay I wrote? This is what happens to those who try to steal from me. Your mistress mother is truly touching, isn't she? At this moment, Shen Jiaojiao finally came to her senses. Lin Yun, you set me up. Do you know about the grade swapping thing? I said. It's just the grade swapping system, right? Of course I know. That's why I deliberately gave you this big gift. Upon hearing this, Shen Jiaojiao was still gritting her teeth and stubbornly insisting, So what if you found out? I've already asked the teachers and administrators at the school. You never had a guaranteed admission, you ruined my reputation. And I'll make sure you never get to study again. In the end, I still won. Only then did I pull out a few documents from my backpack and hand them to Shen Jiaojiao. These documents include my IELTS scores and some of the procedures I went through for studying abroad. I said, Shen Jiaojiao, you really are a fool. You don't really think my goal is only Tsinghua and Peking University, do you? Let me tell you, long before the college entrance exam, I had already been accepted by Stanford University abroad. The admission letter is at the embassy. Gold shines wherever it goes, and fools, no matter when, are always equally foolish. As I spoke, I gathered these documents, waiting only for the verdict inside to conclude. After all, I've already discussed it with my mom. When school starts, I'll have my mom accompany me abroad. My mom is getting older. After the divorce, she took half of the marital assets. That money is enough for her to live comfortably for the rest of her life. As for the struggles from now on, they'll naturally be up to me. After the trial, my dad and my mom officially got divorced. The family villa and the factory all went to my dad. My mom received tens of millions in cash, along with some jewelry and other valuables. The property was divided in a 4-6 ratio, with my dad getting 4 parts and my mom getting 6. It is said that my father had an affair during his marriage and even had an illegitimate daughter. However, most of their assets were acquired jointly after marriage. The law does not support agreements that force one party to leave with nothing. After my father and mother divorced, my mother and I moved abroad to focus on my studies. Wang Cuihua, as she wished, married my father, and Shen Jiaojiao was finally recognized as part of the family. It's just that my father married Wang Cuihua, certainly not out of any kind of love, rather, it's because Shen Jiaojiao and Wang Cuihua still hold value for him to exploit. In the business world, if there are no legitimate means of profiting, then women can also serve as a useful form of transaction. Although Wang Cuihua is nearly 50, she still retains a certain charm. Although Shen Jiaojiao aged overnight, at least she was still a woman. In this lifetime, my father still gave Shen Jiaojiao to that super-masculine old pervert, and as a package deal, he even threw in Wang Cuihua as a bonus. The old pervert found Shen Jiaojiao too ugly and didn't marry her. Instead, he directly locked her and Wang Cuihua, mother and daughter, in the basement. In that basement, dark and damp, with iron chains and countless instruments of torture, it was enough for Wang Cuihua and Shen Jiaojiao to suffer in agony for many years. My father had no talent for business, and his social skills were average, but by relying on those improper means, he could barely keep the factory afloat and avoid starving. Then, about another 3 years or so passed. One day, I received a call from back home while I was abroad. The call was from the Public Security Department. The police officer on the other end of the line told me that my father had been stabbed to death in his own villa. The person who stabbed my father was none other than Wang Cuihua's ex-husband, a man named Shen Chong. Shen Chong had just been released from prison after serving a 10-year sentence when he saw his wife and child trending on the news. For so many years, Shen Chong had always believed that Shen Jiaojiao was his own daughter. Never in his wildest dreams did he expect that Wang Cuihua, that old hag, would continue to have an affair with his father even after marrying him. What's more, even Shen Jiaojiao turned out to be his father's flesh and blood. Shen Chong was an extreme character. He had been lurking near my house for over a week. Finally, one day, taking advantage of the housekeeper's day off, Shen Chong broke into our family villa overnight. Armed with a steel knife, he tortured my father for a full day and night. He severed the tendons in my father's hands and feet, slicing off pieces of his flesh, one cut at a time. It is said that my father died quite tragically. When the police found his body, all that remained of him was a stark white skeleton. The police also informed me that Wang Cuihua and Shen Jiaojiao had died as well, because Wang Cuihua was older and Shen Jiaojiao also looked aged and unattractive. The old pervert showed them no mercy, tormenting them in various ways every day. In less than a year, the old pervert had tortured these two to death. Because Shen Jiaojiao and Wang Cuihua died before my father, after my father's death, my grandparents had already passed away, so I became the sole heir to my father's estate. The police contacted me, firstly to have me return to the country to identify the bodies, secondly, regarding some of my father's inheritance, I needed to come back personally to claim it. After all the twists and turns, what was meant to be mine ultimately all came back to me. 3 years later, my mother and I boarded the plane back to our home country. This time, I truly reclaimed everything that belonged to me. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. The female educated youth Su Ping cried and jumped into the river to seek death, saying that she had been violated by my brother, who was a soldier returning home on leave, forcing my brother to marry her. Otherwise, she would go to the commune and report to the police station, charging my brother with the crime of being a hooligan who deserves to be shot. 8 months later, Su Ping gave birth to a full-term son weighing 9 Jin. My brother wanted a divorce, but Su Ping threw a tantrum, threatened to kill herself, and refused to agree no matter what. My brother endured the humiliation, worked hard, and raised her son. During an earthquake, my brother protected his mother and child to help them escape, but was struck in the spine by falling debris, leaving him paralyzed. However, they saw him as a burden and they pushed him, along with his wheelchair, into a freezing river in the icy snow. He froze to death. Reborn. Back to the day of the incident, I stopped the worst scoundrel in the village. Chen ergo, a beautiful wife dropped from the sky. Do you want her? As soon as I entered the village, I saw Sister Chun Hua rushing over. Yi Nan, I finally found you. Something terrible has happened. Your brother Yi Zhanping has taken advantage of the educated youth Su Ping. The lights were on in my house, and it was surrounded by villagers, 3 layers deep inside and out, all watching the commotion. Su Ping was soaked from head to toe, having just been rescued from the water, wrapped in a man's coat. She was sobbing at the door of my brother's room. Dear fellow villagers, you must stand up for me. If Yi Zhanping doesn't give me an explanation today, I really can't go on living. Village chief Wu Jingue stood with his hands behind his back, his old face dark with anger. Yi Nan, you've come back just in time. Your brother Yi Zhanping has done such a thing. What do you think should be done about it? Su Ping, with her fair skin and beautiful features, had a graceful and delicate figure, making her the most outstanding among the educated youth in the surrounding villages. Now, as she sobbed in the autumn wind, she truly looked like a pear blossom bathed in rain, pitiful and touching. It was a truly pitiful and heartbreaking sight. It also stirred the sympathy of the villagers, who all began to point fingers at us. Leading the way was Aunt Xiao. As soon as my brother's enlistment notice arrived, Aunt Xiao rushed to our house to propose a marriage, hoping to marry her daughter to my brother. However, Aunt Xiao was notorious in our Qinghe village for being a gossip, always stirring up trouble and sowing discord in her daily life. I had no respect for someone with such character. I tactfully said that my brother was still young and not ready to settle down yet, and we would wait until he was discharged from the military. This was essentially a rejection. Aunt Xiao felt that I had embarrassed her. After that, she found fault with me everywhere and made trouble for me at every turn. Today, she seized such a great opportunity and naturally wouldn't let it slip away. She put her hands on her hips and spat on the ground. Who would have thought Yi Zhanping was such a scoundrel? Ugh, how shameless. Someone chimed in. Exactly, I heard he even received a 3rd-class merit in the army just 2 months ago, and he was waiting for a promotion after this home visit. Who would have thought he'd do something like this? This Yi Zhanping always seemed so honest and decent. It's true that you can't judge a person by their appearance. I slowly scanned the crowd. Fellow villagers, the educated youth Su says my brother Yi Zhanping bullied her. Did anyone actually see it with their own eyes? Upon hearing this, everyone looked at each other, but no one spoke up. They had all been drawn over by the shouts of Su Ping and village chief Wu Jingue. The first few villagers to arrive only saw Su Ping with her clothes in disarray, village chief Wu Jingue holding a stick, and the man who had been knocked unconscious on the bed. After that, Su Ping clutched her clothes, crying and shouting that she couldn't go on living, then rushed out and jumped into the river. They quickly went into the river to rescue her. The village chief, meanwhile, kept blocking the doorway, afraid that the man inside would wake up and run away. The village chief raised his chin and said in a deep voice, Wu Jingue, the village chief of Qinghe village, saw with my own eyes that your brother, Yi Zhanping, bullied the educated youth Su. It was also me who knocked your brother out with a stick. He's still lying in the house right now. I looked into the room and saw a person in military uniform lying on the bed, but my brother was burning up with a fever and was currently getting in for at the barefoot doctor's house in the neighboring village. How could he have possibly returned before me to bully Su Ping? I turned my gaze to Su Ping, who was crying uncontrollably. Comrade Su, are you sure it was my brother Yi Zhanping who bullied you? Su Ping raised her head with tears in her eyes and said, I'm absolutely certain, it was your younger brother, Yi Zhanping, who bullied me. This worthless woman's acting skills are truly impressive. It's a waste of talent not to go perform in grand operas. In my past life, not only the villagers, but even I was deceived by her excellent acting skills, thinking that my brother had truly bullied her. The village chief glared at me fiercely. Yi Nan, why are you interrogating Comrade Su like this? Do you really want Comrade Su, a young woman, to explain in detail how your brother bullied her? Your brother Yi Zhanping has no shame, but Comrade Su still has her dignity to uphold. I see, you're just trying to deny it now, aren't you, Yi Nan? I'm telling you, with both witnesses and evidence present. You must give Su Jiqing an explanation today and marry her, otherwise, the village will tie your brother up and send him to the police station, where he'll be charged with hooliganism. Your brother, Yi Zhanping, is a soldier, he knows the law but breaks it, that makes his crime even more severe. He'll just have to wait to be paraded through the streets and shot. In my previous life, the village chief Wu Jingui also scared us like this. For the sake of my brother's life, we had no choice but to settle the matter peacefully and marry that wretched woman, Su Ping. But in the end, not only did it ruin my brother's entire life, but it also led to his tragic death. Now that I have been reborn, I will absolutely not let them succeed. I'm going to make this pair of scoundrels taste my wrath. Ignoring the village chief, I continued to press Su Ping. Comrade Su, I'll ask you one more time. Were you really harassed by my younger brother, Yi Zhanping? Su Ping gritted her teeth and nodded. Yes, so, no matter what the truth of the matter is, you're determined to pin the label of rapist on my brother Yi Zhanping today, Su Jiqing, is that it? Upon hearing this, a flicker of panic flashed in Su Ping's eyes. The next second, she abruptly stood up and cried out loudly, Yi Nan, what do you mean by that? Su Ping, have been in Qinghe village for almost 3 years now, and I've always kept to myself. Would I slander you for no reason at all? My brother is useless, I've been bullied by your brother, and I don't want to live anymore. Can't I just die? After saying this, Su Ping rushed toward the wall. She was grabbed and pulled back by several aunties from the village. Comrade Su, this isn't your fault. You mustn't think of doing anything foolish. The village chief was furious and shouted, You, Yi Nan, you really want to drive Comrade Su to her death so you can shirk responsibility, don't you? Seeing this, everyone was also filled with indignation. This is truly going too far, Yi Nan. Your brother has done such a shameless thing, and not only have you failed to give a proper explanation, but you also forced Su Jiqing to hit the wall. How can you live with your conscience? Aunt Zhao, the Yi family is utterly shameless. Seeing everyone pointing their fingers at me and scolding me like this, I felt both angry, annoyed, and amused. I lied and said I had a nightmare last night, telling my brother Yi Zhanping everything that happened in my previous life, without missing a single detail. Although he didn't believe that what happened in the dream would occur in reality, he still promised me that he would stay at the barefoot doctor's place tonight and definitely not go home, and promised me, if anything happens, you will never be alone, always have someone accompany you. I look at the crowd in the courtyard. Fellow villagers, I, Yi Nan, ask you once more, among all of you present here, who has personally witnessed my brother Yi Zhanping bullying Su Jiqing? The villagers fell silent once again. Are we really going to convict my brother just based on a few words from Su Jiqing? Village chief Wu Jingui, furious and flustered, pointed at me. Yi Nan, are you saying that Su Jiqing would risk his life just to tarnish your brother's reputation? Aunt Zhao stood with her hands on her hips and spat at me. Yi Nan, Su Jiqing is a respectable person from the big city, good-looking and well-educated. What makes you think your brother Yi Zhanping is some kind of treasure? Do you really believe Su Jiqing would risk her own reputation and integrity for a joke? At the end of the day, Yi Nan, you just don't want to admit the shameful things your brother did, afraid he'll get kicked out of the military. Not to be outdone, I spat right back at Aunt Zhao's face, giving her a taste of her own medicine. Aunt Zhao, last year, as soon as my brother's enlistment notice arrived, you came running to me, saying you wanted to marry your daughter off to him. If my brother wasn't such a catch, why were you so eager to come to our house every day, pushing to have your daughter marry him? I've never spoken about this to anyone, not even to my closest friend, Sister Chunhua, not a single word, so no one in the village knew about this. Since Aunt Zhao has been making a fuss all day today, don't blame me for not saving her face. Upon hearing this, the crowd began whispering among themselves. There's more to this story, no wonder, since last year. Aunt Zhao has been finding fault with the Yi family and Yi Nan, criticizing them everywhere and spreading rumors about them. Aunt Zhao felt utterly humiliated in front of the villagers. She flew into a rage, lunged at me, grabbed my hair, and we started wrestling. Bah, you're the sister of a rapist, your brother did such a shameless thing, and you still have the nerve to act so arrogant. This is a new society now. And the law is what matters. Your brother, Yi Zhanpeng, that rapist, is just waiting to face the firing squad. Let's see how arrogant you can be then. Our Yi family used to be hunters. My brother and I learned archery from our father since we were young, and we also picked up some martial arts. When it comes to a real fight, I'm definitely a tough one among women. Aunt Zhao couldn't gain any advantage against me. I pulled out a handful of her hair and gave her a couple of punches, making her howl in pain. Seeing this, the village chief shouted, "Stop, both of you, stop. Right now, if you have something to say, say it. No one is allowed to fight." Sister Chunhua and a few aunties stepped forward to mediate, urging me to let go. I knew when to stop, so I released Aunt Zhao. All right, since everyone says it was my younger brother in the house who did it and that we should take responsibility, I'll go in and call him out. I'll ask him right in front of everyone why he did such a foolish thing. Once we get to the bottom of it, we'll take responsibility. How about that? But village chief Wu Jingui blocked the door, preventing me from entering. Yi Nan, this matter is clear with both witnesses and evidence. What else do you want to ask? Could it be that you want to go in and persuade your brother to stubbornly deny it? Su Ping wiped her tears and said, Yi Nan, today I, Su Ping, will make it clear right here. If your brother Yi Zhanpeng doesn't give me a proper explanation and marry me, I will report this to the police station and accuse your brother Yi Zhanpeng of rape. Your brother can just wait to be executed. Sister Chunhua, Sister Choju, and the others, upon hearing this, quickly pulled me aside. Yi Nan, if Su Jiqing really reports this to the police station, not only will your brother's future in the military be ruined, but he could also be charged with hooliganism and face execution. This is no joking matter. That's right, Yi Nan. It's better to have your brother marry Su Jiqing, if this is reported to the police station and the situation escalates. It will be hard to handle. Exactly. Su Jiqing is from a big city. Her family has urban household registration and lives on government-supplied rations. If your brother Yi Zhanpeng marries her, it would be quite a bargain. In this way, a disaster turned into a joyous occasion. Everyone was happy. Actually, what I was waiting for were the two sentences Su Ping had said earlier. Now that the fish had taken the bait, I was ready to reel in the line. I pretended to be persuaded by Sister Chunhua and the others, sighed helplessly, and gave in. All right, we'll take responsibility. Upon hearing this, the village chief was delighted. Yi Nan, you said that yourself. Everyone heard it. You have to keep your word. I walked straight up to Su Ping and asked her solemnly, Comrade Su Jiqing, you mean that whoever bullied you tonight and took your innocence must marry you and take you home, right? Su Ping nodded. Yes, regardless of who bullied you tonight, you will marry him, won't you? Although Su Ping was somewhat puzzled as to why I kept asking her repeatedly, she nodded again and even raised her voice, saying loudly, yes. I looked at village chief Wu Jingui again. Village chief, you mean the same thing, right? Village chief, yes, that's exactly what I mean. Whoever does something wrong must take responsibility for it. This is a matter of principle. Everyone nodded in agreement. That's right, we must take responsibility for Su Jiqing. Otherwise, how will she ever get married in the future? Me? All right, then let's ask the village chief and the elders present to bear witness. Tonight, let's settle this marriage in front of everyone. How about that? Everyone chimed in with agreement. Village chief Wu Jingui and Su Ping exchanged a covert glance. Seeing the satisfaction of their scheme's success in each other's eyes, their gazes met briefly, like a dragonfly skimming the water, touching and parting in an instant. Apart from me, no one else present had any inkling of it. In that case, village chief, have someone wake up my brother in the house. Tonight, let's have the two of them enter the bridal chamber. What do you say? The crowd erupted in a chorus of enthusiastic cheers. Later, we must make sure to have a lively time at the bridal chamber. Su Ping lowered her head, putting on a shy and demure expression. I watched, and immediately felt a wave of nausea in my stomach. This bitch is really good at acting, but she won't be able to act for much longer. Soon she won't even be able to cry. The village chief instructed two strong young men, saying, Go inside. wake that person up for me." The two strong young men had only been inside for a few seconds when they simultaneously let out a startled cry of, "Ah, village chief, come in and take a look." The village chief frowned with displeasure. "What's going on?" I, along with some villagers, followed the village chief and Su Ping inside. Inside, the man in military uniform was turned over by two strong young men, revealing a face with a broken eyebrow and a scar. The village chief and Su Ping were as if struck by lightning, their faces turning pale with shock. Everyone else was also stunned and speechless. Wasn't it supposed to be Yi Zhanpeng? How could it be Chen Ergo? Chen Ergo is the worst scoundrel in our Qinghe village. When it comes to him, not just our Qinghe village, but the entire commune knows he's a reckless and ruthless troublemaker, drinking, gambling, smoking, stealing, fighting, and causing trouble. All of these are just routine for him. Once, after a minor dispute with a neighbor, he grabbed a hoe and cracked the man's head open. Because of this incident, Chen Ergo even spent 3 years in prison. After his release, he carried an even more menacing aura all over his body. In the village, not only the women but even the strong men tried to keep their distance, fearing that provoking him would lead to endless trouble in the future. Chen Ergo's appearance was also extremely ugly. He had broken eyebrows, a pair of small eyes like mung beans, a large knife scar on his face from fighting, and teeth yellowed from smoking. His parents died early, and his family was so poor that only 2 leaky, dilapidated houses remained. In short, he was poor, unruly, rotten, and ruthless. When Su Ping saw Chen Ergo, her eyes were vacant, her face ashen, and her lips trembling with fear. "It's not this person, it's not this person, it was Yi Zhanpeng. It was Yi Zhanpeng who bullied me." After a moment of shock, the village chief's expression also changed drastically, thinking to himself, "This is bad. Chen Ergo, this scoundrel, is someone even the village chief Wu Jingui dares not provoke." Village chief Wu Jingui and Su Ping wanted to frame my younger brother for 2 reasons. The first reason is because Su Ping got pregnant by Wu Jingui. Su Ping, with her fair and delicate appearance and a large bust, caught the eye of the lecherous Wu Jingui as soon as she arrived at the educated youth point in our Qinghe village. Wu Jingui exercised the authority of the village chief, constantly favoring Su Ping by assigning her the least tiring work that earned the most work points. He also made her various promises, such as future opportunities to return to the city. Su Ping was inherently a snobbish and promiscuous woman, and one night 3 months later, she half-heartedly allowed Wu Jingui to pin her down in the barn, and the deed was done. This affair lasted for nearly 3 years, to the point where she was almost worn out by Wu Jingui. Both Su Ping and Wu Jingui are deep thinkers and highly calculating individuals, usually keeping a low profile and acting discreetly. Additionally, Su Ping is skilled at putting on an act, always appearing cold and aloof in front of others. As a result, the villagers remained completely unaware of their affair and continued to believe that Su Ping was a pure an innocent girl. The second reason, and the most important one, is that Wu Jingui and Su Ping recently learned about the astonishing background of my brother and me. It turns out our biological parents are 2 high-ranking officials in the capital. During the war years, my parents, because they had to fight, found it inconvenient to take us, their newborn twins, so they entrusted my brother and me to local villagers to raise. But little did they expect that as soon as they left, a traitor emerged within the organization. That traitor couldn't withstand the enemy's severe torture and gave away information about us siblings. Fortunately, there were also members of our party in the interrogation, who rushed to inform our adoptive parents before the enemy could arrest them. Our adoptive parents had no time to pack, so they picked up the 2 of us siblings in swaddling clothes and fled in panic. However, halfway through the journey, we still encountered the enemy. Our adoptive parents placed us in a cave, wrapped stones in swaddling clothes and held them in their arms to lure the enemy away. In the end, they were shot dead by the enemy and fell off the cliff, still holding us siblings. The enemy thought we were surely dead, so they didn't go down to search carefully. After the enemy left, our party members arrived at the bottom of the cliff and searched everywhere, but only found the bodies of my adoptive parents. My sister and I, however, could not be found no matter how hard they looked, so they assumed we had been taken away by wild beasts, leaving no trace of our remains. Because of this, our parents, who were high-ranking officials, always believed that my sister and I had long since perished. Little did they know that we were fortunate and blessed, as we were rescued by a hunter couple surnamed Yi in the mountains who heard our cries. They were over 40 years old and had no children of their own, so they felt that my sister and I were a gift from heaven and treated us like precious jewels. When we were 7 years old, our parents moved down from the mountains. to Qinghe village, about 10 kilometers from the county town, so that we could go to school and learn to read and write. After my brother joined the army, he won first place in an all-around competition across the entire military region, and the regional commander personally awarded him the prize. When the commander caught sight of my brother, he was taken aback in surprise. He discovered that my brother looked exactly like his old commander in the capital did when he was young, having followed the old commander for decades. He was aware of the incident involving our siblings back then and immediately grew suspicious. After the award ceremony, the commander called my brother into his office and questioned him in great detail. Upon learning that my brother, Yi Zhanpeng, had a twin sister, he became even more suspicious and asked my brother if he had a photo of me. Before enlisting, my brother and I took a photo together when the seasoned military commander, who had survived countless battles and gunfire, saw me in the photo. He couldn't help but tremble with excitement, exclaiming repeatedly, "One looks like the father, the other like the mother, and both look exactly the same." One person looking alike might be a coincidence, but for both to look alike, it can't just be a simple coincidence. That very day, he took the photo of my sister and me along with all my brother's documents, boarded a train to the capital, and knocked on the door of the old chief and his wife in the middle of the night. Over the years, our chief parents never had any more children, and because of their advanced age, they had long since come to terms with the fact that they had no biological descendants. Upon seeing the photo of my sister and me, they were overjoyed and immediately sent people to our county, town, and Qinghe village to conduct a detailed investigation, confirming our identities. A few days ago, when that person came to investigate accompanied by leaders from the county and town, he told the village chief Wu Jingui about this matter and repeatedly urged him to keep it confidential. Therefore, only the village chief Wu Jingui in the entire Qinghe village knows about this. At the same time, Su Ping discovered that she was pregnant with the village chief Wu Jingui's child and wanted to have an abortion. The village chief disagreed. The village chief's wife gave birth to 3 children, none of whom were boys. The village chief held feudalistic beliefs and had always longed for a son. As for Su Ping, she naturally refused to have children. She slept with the village chief only to receive various favors and benefits in Qinghe village and to return to the city as soon as possible. In the future, she intended to return to the city, become an urban resident, and enjoy the benefits of commodity grain. Once the belly starts to show, it can no longer be hidden. By then, everyone will know that she, Su Ping, is a loose woman. She kept making a fuss every day, demanding that the village chief buy medicine for her to have an abortion. Just when the village chief was at his wit's end, my younger brother, Yi Zhanpeng, was approved by the military to return home for a visit. He saw my brother and, knowing that his future prospects were limitless, immediately thought of a sinister plan. He told Su Ping about my brother's background and his plan. As soon as Su Ping heard that my brother was the only son of a high-ranking official in the capital, she agreed without a second thought. If the plan succeeded, not only Su Ping but also the village chief's children would live a good life in the future. In their previous life, they succeeded, but now that I have been reborn, they are about to face great misfortune. At noon today, when I encountered Chen Ergo in the village, I stopped him right away. "Ergo, a beautiful wife dropped from the sky. Do you want her?" In the past, I would have avoided him and taken a detour whenever I saw him. After all, if you can't afford to provoke someone, you can at least avoid them. Now that I know my parents are high-ranking officials in the capital, I'm not the least bit afraid of him. Chen Ergo was stunned by my question, his scarred face dark and expressionless. A few seconds later, he glared at me with a fierce look in his eyes. "Yi Nan, are you so full you've got nothing better to do than mess with me?" "Ergu, I'm just asking out of kindness. Do you want a free, beautiful wife?" He glared at me fiercely. "Do you think I, Chen Ergu, am a fool? Would a beautiful wife just fall from the sky?" I looked him straight in the eyes and said seriously, "Ergu, if you want a beautiful wife, come to my house after dark, put on my brother's military uniform, wear the military cap, and pretend to be my brother waiting at my place. Remember not to turn on the lights, don't let anyone see your face clearly. As long as you listen to me, after tonight, I guarantee you can marry a fair-skinned, beautiful wife for free, believe it or not. If you believe me, take the key and go to my house later. If you don't, that's fine too. Anyway, you won't lose out either way." With that, I reached out and handed him the key to my home. These days, everyone is poor, and there's nothing of value at home. Chen Ergo listened in silence until I finished speaking. Seeing that I didn't seem to be joking, he snorted coldly and asked me, "A delicate and fair-skinned beautiful wife. How beautiful is she, like Su Ping, the educated youth?" Beautiful, isn't she? Ergo, do you want her? Su Ping had snow-white skin, delicate features, and a curvaceous figure, ample where it should be ample, and slender where it should be slender. On the very day she arrived at the commune, she caused a sensation throughout, with people saying that a female educated youth as beautiful as a movie star had come. After that, men from all the surrounding villages in the commune would drool at the mere thought of Su Ping. Chen Ergo looked at me without saying a word. I knew Chen Ergo was tempted. Sure enough, a few seconds later, he reached out, snatched the key, and threw down a threat. Yi Nan, if you dare mess with me, I'll make you regret it. Su Ping was terrified to see Chen Ergo lying on the bed, trembling all over. It's not him, it's not him, it was Yi Zhanpeng who bullied me. Chen Ergo took off his military uniform, picked up his tattered pants, and stood up. He raised a broken eyebrow and grinned at Su Ping, revealing a set of uneven, yellow teeth. Su Ping, it was clearly you who climbed onto the bed yourself, pulled off my pants, and rode on top of me, moaning. As soon as these words were spoken, it was like a drop of water splashing into a pot of boiling oil. Everyone was in an uproar. My God, it was actually Su Jiqing who pulled off Chen Ergo's pants and climbed on top of him. This is just too shameless. I never expected Su Jiqing, who usually looks so unapproachable, to be such a loose woman behind the scenes. Su Ping's face was as pale as paper, and she hastily defended herself. I didn't. At that time, the lights in the room were off. She saw a man in military uniform lying on the bed and immediately assumed it was Yi Zhanpeng, so she climbed up and went to take off his pants. As a result, the man impatiently turned over and pinned her to the bed, bullying her fiercely. By the time village chief Wu Jingui knocked him unconscious with a stick, it was already done. At the time, she was secretly delighted, thinking that this time Yi Zhanpeng would have no way to escape. But now, the more she thought about it, the more frightened she became. She had already let Chen Ergo taste the sweetness, and she feared she would never be able to shake him off in the future. At this point, all she could do was deny everything to the end, refusing to admit it no matter what. Chen Ergo, what? You were riding on me just now, having a great time, and now you're trying to deny it. You're talking nonsense. It wasn't you, it was Yi Zhanpeng. Chen Ergo's face turned fierce as he grabbed her arm. What's the matter, you damn woman? Are you disgusted by my ugliness, or are you disgusted by my poverty? Chen Ergo was so ugly, just looking at him made her want to vomit. Su Ping felt a chill in her heart, her stomach churning, and she struggled desperately as if bitten by a venomous snake. Don't touch me, let go, let go. Su Ping cried anxiously. It was Yi Zhanpeng who bullied me, not you. It was Yi Zhanpeng, it was Yi Zhanpeng. Chen Ergo chuckled strangely, the laughter sounding particularly eerie. You bitch, it was clearly me. Why are you still trying to frame Yi Zhanpeng? I smiled slightly. Comrade Su, even at this point, you still want to slander my brother Yi Zhanpeng. What's the matter? Are you so desperate to marry my brother that you've gone crazy? A villager couldn't hold back and let out a laugh, mocking. If Comrade Su likes Yi Zhanpeng, why not just say it? There's no need to climb into bed and pull down his pants. And then you even got the wrong person. I spoke slowly. Dear fellow villagers, my brother Yi Zhanpeng went to the barefoot doctor in the neighboring village this evening to get an 4 drip. He hasn't been home at all. If you don't believe me, send 2 people to check, and you'll know the truth. Please, Comrade Su, stop throwing mud at my brother Yi Zhanpeng. Su Ping opened her mouth, wanting to say something more, but no words came out. She couldn't control herself, trembling all over, with beads of cold sweat breaking out on her forehead. Village chief Wu Jinggui's face also turned extremely grim. Neither of them had ever imagined that the person inside the house would be the village's worst scoundrel, Chen Ergo. Upon hearing my words, the crowd began to discuss the matter once again. I always said Yi Zhanpeng is honest and steady. We've watched him grow up. He's not that kind of person. Yeah, that's what I said too. Suddenly, my brother Yi Zhanpeng's anxious voice rang out. Sis, what's going on? Someone said I bullied Su Jiqing. It's Yi Zhanpeng coming back. The crowd quickly made way. Yi Zhanpeng and the barefoot doctor, along with several villagers who were getting 4 drips and injections at the barefoot doctor's house, hurriedly walked in from outside the courtyard. Sis, since I came back from visiting relatives, I haven't even exchanged a single word with Su Jiqing. How could I possibly bully her? I patted his hand, comforting him and also comforting myself. It's fine now. It was all a misunderstanding. It's been resolved, the barefoot doctor said to the crowd. Just now, a patient came to my house and said that Yi Zhanpeng from Qinghe village had bullied the educated youth Su. he said the news had even spread to our village, but Yi Jianping has been getting in for drip at my place all along. I found it strange, so I brought them along to come and see if there might be some misunderstanding. The barefoot doctor and those patients can all testify for my younger brother, Yi Jianping. At the time of the incident, my brother was getting in for drip with them, with so many people providing evidence. Su Ping and village chief Wu Jingui had no choice but to back down. I smiled as I looked at Su Ping. Comrade Su, you have nothing to say now, do you, Comrade Su? Don't worry, Chen Ergo bullied you and took your innocence. He did something wrong. Chen Ergo is a real man, he will definitely take responsibility and marry you, Ergo, isn't that right, Chen Ergo? Yes, I'll definitely take responsibility. I'll marry this damn woman. Su Ping shook her head in terror, backing away repeatedly. I won't marry him, I won't. Chen Ergo raised his broken eyebrows. Damn woman, you pulled down my pants, rode on top of me, and now you want to deny it. I'm telling you, no way. Su Ping stubbornly refused to admit it, insisting firmly, I didn't, you damn woman, still refusing to admit it. Let me tell you, I've got plenty of evidence. Just now, when you were bouncing on top of me, I clearly saw a black birthmark the size of a fingernail on your right breast. If we hadn't done it, how would I know you have a black birthmark on your right breast? If you still want to deny it, then have someone check. We'll know the truth by seeing if there's a birthmark or not. As soon as Chen Ergo uttered these words, Su Ping knew she was finished. Village chief Wu Jingui's face turned even darker than the bottom of a pot. I stepped forward and said, Village chief, fellow villagers, Chen Ergo himself admitted to bullying Su Jiqing, but Su Jiqing says she wasn't bullied. This matter can't just be left unresolved. First of all, our Qinghe village is, after all, an advanced collective in the commune. If this matter isn't clarified, it could affect the collective honor of Qinghe village once it spreads. Secondly, once it's clarified, we can give Su Jiqing an explanation, and also give Chen Ergo an explanation. Don't you all agree? The crowd unanimously said yes. I added, as for birthmarks, you either have one or you don't. It won't just disappear out of thin air. How about I join the aunties in examining Comrade Su? Su Ping screamed repeatedly, I won't be examined, I won't be examined. Chen Ergo, his face dark, grabbed Su Ping as if lifting a chick. You wretched woman, you have no choice but to be examined. All men, get out. Yi Nan and the aunties stay. Chen Ergo's strength was immense, and he immediately tore open Su Ping's clothes. Come and take a look. The aunties, with a mix of excitement and apprehension, turned their gaze towards Su Ping. I saw a black birthmark the size of a fingernail on her snow-white right breast. Aunt Zhao, who always loved stirring up trouble, was the first to shout out, there really is the birthmark that Zhao Ergo mentioned. I walked outside the house and looked at the village chief without any courtesy. Village chief, we just agreed. Whoever bullies Su Jiqing tonight has to marry her. Village chief, you wouldn't refuse to approve Chen Ergo's marriage, would you? Su Ping clutched the torn collar of her clothes, crying hysterically in despair, I won't marry Chen Ergo, I won't marry Chen Ergo. Village chief Wu Jingui's face turned pale and then flushed with anger, glaring at me fiercely as if he wanted to tear me apart, yet he couldn't utter a word. Now, I wasn't afraid of him in the slightest, pressing him aggressively with repeated questions. Village chief, you were the one who said that earlier. Everyone here heard it with their own ears. As the head of our Qinghe village and a respected figure in our commune, you wouldn't go back on your word, would you? Apart from Su Ping, who was still crying and insisting she wouldn't marry, the rest of the villagers all turned their eyes to the village chief, waiting for him to speak and make his stance clear. Village chief Wu Jinggu felt deeply troubled. He simply couldn't bring himself to suggest that Su Ping marry Chen Ergo. Wouldn't that be pushing his own woman and child into a pit of fire? However, he had already spoken so firmly before. If he went back on his word now, he would lose all credibility not just in the village, but throughout the entire commune. Chen Ergo looked at the village chief, his tone threatening. What, village chief? You don't want to approve my marriage to this damn woman? I'm telling you, if you dare to stand in my way, Chen Ergo, will make sure you regret it. Anyway, this damn woman is already mine. She will marry me whether she wants to or not. If anyone dares to say another word, I'll smash their head open. The village chief immediately backed down. If he angered that mad dog Chen Ergo, his own head might not be safe either. Between losing his life and letting Su Ping marry Chen Ergo, he chose the latter without hesitation. Damn woman, come home with me. Chen Ergo stepped forward and grabbed Su Ping's arm, dragging and pulling her towards his own house. Su Ping struggled desperately, twisting and turning. No, I won't marry Chen Ergo, village chief, save me, village chief. Chen Ergo didn't hold back either. In front of everyone, he raised his hand and slapped Su Ping 4 times, left and right, slap, 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 slap. Su Ping's fair and delicate face immediately swelled up red. Bitch, you better remember this. From now on, I'm your master. If I tell you to go east, you go east. If I tell you to go west, you go west. If you dare disobey me, I'll beat you until you listen. Everyone in the village watched the scene, but no one dared to speak up for Su Ping. My younger brother Yi Zhongping lifted his right foot, wanting to step forward. I quickly grabbed his arm, glared at him angrily, and forced him back. The village chief frowned deeply, closed his eyes, and pretended not to see. Su Ping cried and made a scene, refusing to go no matter what, but her strength was nothing more than a tickle to Chen Ergo. He dragged Su Ping back like a dead dog, kicking open the broken door of the house. Chen Ergo threw Su Ping onto his dirty, smelly bed and eagerly pressed down on her. After all, he had been single for over 30 years, and finally, there was a woman to satisfy his cravings. Su Ping cried and wailed, screaming for help at the top of her lungs. Chen Ergo showed no mercy or tenderness, caring only for his own pleasure as he ruthlessly tossed her back and forth. The door to Chen Ergo's house remained closed for 3 days. On the morning of the 4th day, Chen Ergo, disheveled and in disarray, ran out of the house and hurried to the neighboring village to find a barefoot doctor. It turned out he had been at it for too long and too vigorously, causing Su Ping to bleed profusely from her lower body. The bleeding lasted for half the night. Seeing that something was wrong, Chen Ergo had no choice but to fetch the barefoot doctor to take a look. The barefoot doctor held his nose as he entered the foul-smelling room. After examining Su Ping, he said she had been about 2 months pregnant, but now she had miscarried. The villagers outside, who had been eavesdropping on the gossip, were all stunned. Su Ping had already gotten involved with someone and was pregnant. Now, she had been forced into a miscarriage by Chen Ergo on the bed. Upon hearing this, Chen Ergo inside the house was first taken aback. Then, as he realized what had happened, his angry face twisted into that of a beast. He immediately slapped Su Ping across the face. Beat you to death, you shameless woman. Tell me, whose bastard is this? I'll beat him to death. The barefoot doctor didn't want to get involved, but a life was at stake, so he had to hold Chen Ergo back. Can't hit her, can't hit her, she's very weak right now. The barefoot doctor offered a few words of advice, then hurriedly gave Su Ping an injection, left some hemostatic medication, explained how to use it, and quickly packed up his medical kit and left without even charging for the medicine, treating it as a good deed to accumulate merit. That very day, the news of Su Ping's miscarriage spread throughout the surrounding villages. Everyone was frantically discussing who was the man who got Su Ping pregnant. At the same time, everyone also realized, so Su Ping's act the other day was an attempt to frame Yi Zhongping for the child in her belly. Village Chief Wu Jingui, upon learning that his child had been lost, turned as dark as ink, cursing and swearing at the village committee for half a day with his hands behind his back. But he was a coward, not even daring to step into Chen Ergo's yard to take a look. Chen Ergo was currently in a furious, rabid state, searching everywhere for Su Ping's lover. If he went, wouldn't that be admitting guilt without being asked? By then, even if you don't die, you'll be half dead. Half a month later, our parents, who were high-ranking officials, arrived at our Qinghe village. Accompanied by the highest leaders from the provincial, municipal, and county levels. Father exuded authority without showing anger, while Mother was gentle yet resolute. Upon seeing us, Mother's tears began to fall silently. She touched my and my brother's faces, pulling us into her embrace. Nan Nan, Peng Peng, it's Mom and Dad who let you down, but back then, your father and I had no choice for the sake of the revolution. The family of 4 was in tears. The leaders all advised one after another, Chief, now that the 2 children have been found, the family will be reunited from now on. This is a joyous occasion, a truly great joy. Finally, Father Ding Junhua spoke up. That's right, no more crying. This is a great celebration for our Ding family. Let's be happy. Only then did Mother stop her tears, leaning in to kiss my brother and me again and again, her affection and joy overflowing. The villagers were all stunned when they heard the news. That same day, we moved with our parents to the government guest house in the county town. Before leaving, I gave the keys to my house to Sister Chunhua, asking her and Sister Chioju to divide up the belongings in my home. The next day, my brother, and I followed our parents back to the capital on a special train. On the day I left the village, someone had slipped a note under the dilapidated gate of Chen Ergo's house, with just 6 words written on it: Village Chief Su Ping, Barn, Sister Chun Hua, Sister Chiu Ju, and others from Qinghe village have kept in touch with me, maintaining a lifelong friendship. Indiana. Their letters, they said that Su Ping and village chief Wu Jingue were caught red-handed by Chen Ergo while having an affair in the barn. The whole village heard the commotion and followed to the barn to see what was happening. They saw the village chief and Su Ping, both naked and entangled together. Chen Ergo immediately broke both of the village chief's legs. The village chief let out a scream and passed out, but afterwards, he didn't dare to go to the police station to report the incident and accuse Chen Ergo, fearing that Chen Ergo might go crazy and fight him to the death. Su Ping was also severely beaten by Chen Ergo and suffered another miscarriage. This time, it's unclear whether the child was the village chief's or Chen Ergo's. Another reason the village chief didn't report Chen Ergo was to keep the matter under wraps. But such colorful romantic affairs spread the fastest. It quickly spread throughout the entire county. The county leaders felt the impact was truly too severe and could not be ignored. The commune then dismissed village chief Wu Jingue for misconduct and appointed a new village chief for Qinghe village. After the new village chief took office, the first thing he did was to verify the village's account books. This verification indeed uncovered Wu Jingue's serious embezzlement issues. Wu Jingue was immediately arrested, and after a trial by the county people's court, he was ultimately sentenced to life imprisonment and sent to prison. Su Ping's hard days were just beginning. Chen Ergo was usually lazy and gluttonous, fond of drinking, gambling, and smoking. When he drank too much, he would take out his frustrations on her, and if he was displeased, his fists would come down. One day, Chen Ergo was gambling with his disreputable friends and lost 4 big 10-yuan bills. He didn't have a single cent in his pocket and could only owe the debt, but the gambling buddy just smiled nonchalantly, even warmly stuffing 2 steel-making bills, 5 yuan, into his pocket. We're all brothers, keep this money, you don't have to pay me back what you lost. Just, Chen Ergo narrowed his small eyes. Just what? The gambling buddy leaned in close to his ear and whispered slyly, just let me have a go with Su Ping once. Chen Ergo's broken eyebrow shot up, and he flew into a rage on the spot. You're looking for death, but his gambling buddy wasn't afraid of him at all, grinning cheekily. Ergo, we've been brothers for so many years. That worn-out shoe Su Ping has long been slept rotten by Wu Jingue. Who cares who sleeps with her? Just close your eyes and pretend it was Wu Jingue who did it, and that's that. Plus, it'll cover so much debt. Don't worry, I won't tell a soul. When it gets dark, I'll slip into the bed in the pitch black, and I'll be out before dawn. No one will ever know. With that, she affectionately stuffed 2 steel-making notes, 5 yuan each, into Chen Ergo's pocket. Although Su Ping was considered a worn-out shoe, her face and figure still made men from all around drool with envy. Chen Ergo felt the 4 steel-making notes, 5 yuan each, in his pocket, pondered for a long while, and finally dropped a sentence: come over at 11 tonight, I'll leave the door unlocked. The gambling buddy chuckled slyly. In the middle of the night, he slipped onto Su Ping's Kong. Su Ping, terrified of Chen Ergo's beatings, mistook the man for Chen Ergo and allowed him to have his way. Once led to twice, twice to thrice, and thrice to many more. For several years thereafter, this became an unspoken secret among the gamblers and ruffians within a 10-mile radius. Sister Chunhua said that those men couldn't keep their mouths shut. After drinking heavily, they would even boast and compare. Soon, everyone in the village knew about it, and the educated youths at the educated youth point were also aware. Only Su Ping was kept in the dark, until one night, 2 men climbed onto the Kong one after the other, and Su Ping screamed for help. Only then was the matter discovered. The 2 men covered Su Ping's mouth, saying that all these people had slept with her countless times. They also said that everyone in the surrounding villages knew about it. The next day, Su Ping jumped into the river and ended her life. Those who once schemed against us have all faced their retribution, one by one. As for my brother, Yi Zhanpeng, he returned to the military after spending 2 months in the capital. He worked diligently, studying various cultural subjects in the army, and was admitted to one of the top military academies. After graduation, he returned to the military, dedicating himself wholeheartedly to his work, achieving many accomplishments, and receiving numerous promotions. He married the beautiful daughter of the military district commander, the very benefactor who helped us reunite with our parents, and they had 2 sons and a daughter. The couple was deeply in love, and their life was sweet. As for me, I stayed by the side of my parents, who were high-ranking officials. While taking care of them, I also immersed myself in the vast ocean of learning. In the first year after the college entrance examination was reinstated, I was admitted to Peking University. There, I met a second-generation official who was a perfect match for me, fell in love, got married, and gave birth to a pair of twins, a boy and a girl. My brother and I each built happy and harmonious families, enjoying joyful and smooth lives. As for everything that happened in Qinghe village, for us siblings, it was like a passing breeze, long since blown away to who knows where. After hearing the two stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.